Hey everyone, welcome to the Evangelist Nick Garrett channel. This day, October 25th in church history. We're talking about a character named Chrysanthis and his family. See, he lived in 3rd century Rome. He was highly educated in the arts and sciences. He happened upon Christian scriptures and writings, and they made a lot of sense to him. He converted to Christianity and looked for somebody who could teach him more. He found a hermit named Carpophorus, who instructed him more fully in the faith and baptized him. Now, Chrysanthis' commitment to Christianity would literally lead to his death. So the legend says, and it's one of the most beautiful to come down to us through church history. See, Chrysanthis' father, Polemius, was a high-ranking soldier. He hated cowardice, and he especially hated Christianity, because all the Christian converts that were Roman soldiers stopped fighting in wars and renounced violence. He would go to his son Chrysanthis and say, "How can a crucified man be God?" He demanded that Chrysanthis return to the old gods, the Roman pagan ones. When his son respectfully refused, Polemius locked the door into the cellar on short rations for many days. Chrysanthis only grew stronger, though, prayed to Christ, grew more determined. Polemius did not know what to do, though. A friend of the family counseled him to lure Chrysanthis back to idolatry through pleasure. They suggested that he set up a party with fine wines and food and women. Now, sensing what was happening, it didn't work. Chrysanthis prayed his way through it, ended up back in the cellar, and the party was a flop. Now, once again, Polemius realized he had been defeated. He went back to the drawing board and devised another plan. Now, an old man told Polemius about this beautiful virgin named Daria. This girl was beautiful, and she was dedicated to the pagan goddess Minerva. She was known for her beauty and her intelligence. Polemius said, "Well, what I'll do is I'll arrange a marriage between the two of them, and she can talk some sense back into Chrysanthis, and I'll have my son back." Now, he hurried out to the temple and met her, and he proposed his plan. And at first, Darius thought that Polemius was joking. "You know, I come from poor stock. Why would you arrange a marriage for your rich son with me?" But when Polemius started crying, Daria realized this was the real deal. They went to the house, and Daria went to work. Her and Chrysanthis, history tells us, began this dialogue, this intellectual sparring. So they got to work. Chrysanthis accepted her graciously, listened to her arguments, but then he showed her the weakness of those arguments. How could she worship gods of stone and wood and gold, he asked. The temples even had watchdogs to protect their treasures from being stolen. Not only that, but the stories showed that every god and goddess was guilty of deep sin. Daria told him he was just being silly. All thinkers knew that the stories were just fables and images of the gods to help the ignorant masses focus their minds on the gods. The real gods were wind and rain and fire and the like. So Chrysanthis says, why would the real gods let their glory go to images? The gods of wind, rain, and fire were all around us. They could be worshipped directly. No, he says, there is one God who made all things through Jesus Christ and who should be worshipped. In the end, it was Daria who was convinced. The two did get married, and they entered a Christian marriage in which each dedicated themselves to winning souls for Christ. Pagans ended up stoning them in the sand pits near the catacombs. Later, other Christians were martyred in the same spot. Here's the interesting part. There really were a Chrysanthis and Daria, and their martyrdom is celebrated on October 25th. The year was 283. Their bones and even a silver chalice, which Christians celebrated the Eucharist in, was found at a burial site on the New Salarian Way outside Rome. The rest of the story surrounding it, legend. Now, for those who might say, well, hold on, you're talking about a silver chalice and the Eucharist in the year 283. I encourage you to read Justin Martyr's Second Apology, particularly chapter 67, where he outlines a lot what the Eucharist might have looked like. I'm not suggesting it looks like what Catholics do today. It's clear that they are talking about sharing some sort of a meal, but there was a ceremonial cup. And that's not too surprising given that Christianity came from Judaism, where there were many times during Seders several ceremonial cups drank at different times during the meal. Well, that's been one of my favorites so far, guys, of this day in church history, October 25th. Talk to you next time.